Okay, we're going to perform the Kriyah, the cutting of the clothes. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, if I can ask you please to make sure your phones are turned off, or at least onto silent. Begin the service on the first page. Adonai moin atay salon v'doy v'tzarei morim yulod v'atchayil eretz v'seivel u'miyol v'adol v'matzoel Toshev v'neshadaka v'atzoy meshuv b'nei Adam ki areshoni v'yinecha ki yoy mesmal ki ava v'ashmar v'loyla Yimei shnei seinu v'hem shivim shana v'im igbaroi shmoim shana v'rab mama aven kigoskish v'nofa v'yodei zapecha ki roska v'secha v'nois yomei mikei noidav v'novil v'avchochma Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, you brought forth the whole world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. A days may come to 70 years, or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. If only we knew the power of your anger. Your wrath is as great as the fear that is your due. So teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Dear Shadwin, I be Motzai, Karuvi, I say Karai. Yazay Roshadar, by Vishal Mach Shvaisov, Vyoshayev El Adonai, Berechameo, El Eloheni, Kiabal Isla, Kibai Mach Shvaisai, Mach Shvaisechem, Eloi Darchechem, Rachaynu Madonai, Tu Gavushamai Mioretz, Kain Gavud Rachayni Darchechem, Mach Shvaisai, Mach Shvaisechem. Seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord that he may have compassion on him, and to our God, so he will abundantly pardon. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Enoish kechotzi amov, b'tzitz aselekin yotzitz, Yirach of Rabbi v'enenu lo yakir, and oim v'kremoi, v'chesed avlenoi v'yolav v'aleinu al yirav v'tikos alivnim on him. Whereas no kachayim derech nesiv al moves, v'yoshoy v'rafal ha'oretz k'shaya v'harach t'ashuv Elohim asher nesono. Mili v'ashamayim v'imacholek l'patzti v'oretz, kol she'iri yilu v'vitzur l'vavi v'chet kilim v'elam. Ma yokam kastas v'elohim v'nei adam tzekon v'achi v'chesoyo, yimchom v'kolka yimorchom nirar. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like the flower of the field, but the wind passes over it and it's gone, and its place knows it no more. The steadfast love of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear him, and his righteousness to children's children. In the way of righteousness is life, and the pathway therefore is no death. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return to God who gave it. Who do I have in heaven but you? And there's no one on earth that I desire beside you. My flesh and my heart fails, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. How precious is your loving kindness, O God! The children of men take refuge under the shadow of your wings. With you is the fountain of life. In your light do we see light. That's great. Come forward.
Hi everyone, my name is Berinson. I am the second son and middle child of Miriam and Sydney Berinson. I am honoured to have been asked to speak today on behalf of my family, and I acknowledge the great love and grief of my father, Sydney, my older brother Anthony, and my younger sister Nicole. Miriam Berinson Lee Kenyon was born Perth, 21 December 1941, the only child of Percy and Ethel Kenyon. Percy was born in England in 1907 and emigrated to Perth as a very young man. He met and married Ethel Same, who was born in Perth in 1911. Her family, like many early Jewish Perth families, emigrated from pre-Russian Revolution Russia. Miriam was born in Perth in 1941 and was brought home by her doting parents. Their first home was 23 Inverness Crescent, Menora. They later moved down the hill to number 50, where they stayed. This was the house I knew as my grandparents' house. Mum went to school at Perth College in Beaufort Street in Mount Lawley. By all accounts, my mum was a star student, receiving prizes for academic excellence. The nuns held great hopes for her continued academic career. However, my grandfather intervened. He presented Mum with the option: complete to year 12 and attend university, or travel by a cruise ship around the world. No one who knew my mother would have given the nuns a chance. She chose the cruise and stoked the fire for what in later life would become her great passion: cruise ship adventures. Returning to Perth in 1958 as a 17-year-old, Miriam joined her parents at Kenyon and Company, an automotive spare parts dealership in Murray Street, Perth. Mum continued working and leading Kenyon and Company for the remainder of her working life. Mum was a hit among the Perth Jewish social scene in the late 50s and early 60s. I understand she dated up a storm and left a trail of disappointed Jewish bachelors in her wake. It was in 1961, at the ripe old age of 20, that the romantic hero of her story entered. A young Sydney Berinson swept her off her feet and convinced her, after 3 years of intense courting, to marry him. Sydney and his younger brother David, who I regret passed away last year, were born to Aaron Berinson and Ada Krasenstein. As family legend has it, 3 of my 4 family ties can be traced back to the same village in Russia. As a young child, I remember admiring a photo at my grandparents' house. This photo had been taken at Mum's 21st and showed a youthful Mum and Dad dancing the night away at Signet Hall in Crawley, with both sets of my grandparents beaming in the background. Miriam and Sydney married on the 18th of October 1964 and moved into an apartment in Adair Parade in Menora. In April 1967, Mum and Dad welcomed their first child, Anthony, and moved with him to 60 Homfirth Street. This has remained the family home ever since. Sydney joined Mum at Kenyon and Company, and they partnered in life, in love and in work for what this October would have been 59 years. I acknowledge with gratitude and sincere respect the union that my parents achieved. In January 1971, Mum and Dad welcomed me into the world. This brought to an end Anthony's unchallenged reign. 4 years later, Nicole joined us in June 1975, providing Mum with a longed-for daughter and completing our branch of the Berinson clan. My memories are of a family-based life which was quintessentially Perth. We enjoyed fish and chips at Cicerello's in Fremantle, Sunday afternoon teas with grandparents and cousins, Giuseppe Corica cakes, West End deli sausage rolls and party pies. I remember picnics at Serpentine Dam and holidays down south in Denmark with extended family and stays at our beach house in Sorrento. I recall Passover Seders and family celebrations. Life for our family was familiar, safe and contented. Mum and Dad gave the three of us kids the gift of a stable family and a stable home, and for this I am immensely grateful. Birthdays at our house had a special significance. No birthday went without celebration. Mum and Dad hosted awesome parties for each of us. Notable are the memories of magicians in the backyard, superior games of pin the tail on the donkey and pass the parcel. Mum made sure we could hold our heads high in the competitive world of bar and bat mitzvahs, where we hosted 250 people extravaganzas. One favourite memory of my mum was on a family holiday to the Gold Coast and our trip to SeaWorld. Mum stepping out onto a bumper boat, 1 foot on the jetty, 1 on the boat, and her ending up neck deep in the filthiest of water, holding her handbag over her head, her summer dress soaking wet. She must have been wet and uncomfortable, but managed to laugh along with us kids and get on with a great day out. I remember my mum loved a bet, and her advice to me, her great advice, that $1 won is so much better than $1 earned. While Mum's love for the horses waned, casinos around Australia and later interstate and casinos here around Australia and later on around the world were among my mother's favourite playgrounds. Roulette wheels, craps tables and the poker machines here, there and everywhere were her happy place. Until the combination of cancer and COVID, Mum and Dad had maintained an amazingly active social life and undertook significant voluntary roles in the community. We all know Dad and his work at the school and the shul over many, many years, but by his side the whole time was Mum. In her own right, she was an active member of the National Council of Jewish Women and held the role of treasurer of its Netanya group for many years. Mum knew the importance of community and enjoyed the love and support of many close friends. We are so happy to be joined by many of you here today. Mum and Dad worked hard to put the three of us kids through private schooling at Carmel. 36 years of Carmel school fees could not have been easy, but for them the sacrifice was worthwhile. 3 out of 3 of us graduating university. Mum, a job well done. The thing that I most admired about my mum was the love and care she showed for her mum, my grandmother Ethel. My mum was Nana's primary caregiver. Through Mum's efforts alone, she prolonged the life of our much-loved grandmother, both in time and in quality. Mum enabled Nana to remain living in her home in Inverness Crescent until the day she died, at the ripe old age of 88. I'm sure many of us recall seeing Mum driving my grandmother around as her constant companion as Mum went about her day-to-day activities. In 1998, after my grandmother's passing and freed from the caregiver role she had undertaken so wholeheartedly, Mum and Dad embarked on their first cruise ship trip together since their honeymoon in 1964. Cruising became Mum's great passion through to when the COVID pandemic hit in early 2020. Mum shared this passion with Dad. It has been a source of great joy for them both. In more recent years, they passed the love of cruising on to Anthony. Dad and Anthony now plan to sail away later this year, where they will no doubt raise a toast to Mum. I moved to Melbourne in January 1998 and married my university sweetheart Kirsty in 2003. Kirsty and I welcomed the first of our three kids, Lottie, in 2005, and then Jimmy in 2009, and after returning to Perth, Hudson in 2014. When we lived in Melbourne, Mum and Dad were regular visitors. They were there when Lottie and Jimmy were born. I recall my tears when I told Mum that Lottie was her first grandchild, had been born, and that we were naming her Lottie Miriam Berinson in Mum's honour. Nicole married Dave Matre in Sydney in August 2002, just before they moved to Geneva for Nicole's work. Over the 3-year posting, Mum and Dad travelled to Geneva twice and spent significant time with Nicole and Dave travelling across Europe. Dave and Nicole welcomed Mum and Dad's second grandchild, Jessica, in 2007, and Zach followed along in 2009. Mum loved all her 5 grandkids. They provided her great joy and happiness and some great stories to share with her friends. In January 2021, Mum was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. She was 79 years old. Mum commenced oncology treatment immediately. Early on, we had high hopes of cure, but these hopes were quickly dashed. With the combination of frequent cancer treatment and COVID, Mum adjusted her mindset and lifestyle to a much smaller life based predominantly around home and close family. Mum fought bravely for 2 full years. She tackled every obstacle with the determination of a mountain climber. She fell into a cycle of chemo treatment followed by debilitating side effect, then alternative chemo treatment, another debilitating side effect, until after 2 years she had exhausted every treatment option. Up until 2 weeks ago, when Mum fell ill and was taken by ambulance for what would be her final trip to the hospital, Mum remained mostly at home and well loved and cared for by the family, by close friends and by neighbours. I thank you all. While to that point, having been relatively mobile and able to cook and clean for herself, Mum had by then lost mobility and required fluid to be drained from her abdomen. Early this week, with the fluid drained and mobility not returning, but with her mind remaining completely intact, she made the decision that she'd had enough and refused further treatment. I will be forever grateful for the 3 hours I had with her 3 days ago now. She had made this difficult decision and was light and bright, content to no longer be weighed down by her cancer or by the treatment. She and I talked and explored her decision and the basis for it, and I think we both finished that conversation content that it was the right decision for her. That night, for the first time, she complained to nurses of pain and was then fitted with a painkiller pump. Just over 24 hours later, early on Sunday morning, Mum passed peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by loved ones. She was 81 years old. Mum left this world on her terms, with her mind intact till the very end. I am now and will forever be proud of her efforts. Vale Miriam Berinson. We love you, Mum.
There's just 2 things that I really want to think about. When I think about Miriam, 2 things. And the first one is that whenever I saw Miriam, she had a smile. She always had a smile. And, you know, the last time I saw her a couple of weeks ago towards the end of Pesach, in the hospital, she was, as Craig said, she was at her final hospital visit.
that she still had that sparkle, that sense of humour, that look. She still had that look in her eye that anyone who ever met her will remember. That twinkle, that lightness, that ability to lift up another human being. And really, I went to visit her and to see her. Sid called me and said that she'd like me to come. And sometimes you can go to the hospital with a feeling of trepidation when you're visiting people who are very, very sick, and you think that it's going to be very hard, and there's going to be difficulty and sadness. But there wasn't any of that in the room. It was like, a few mates were sitting together and having a laugh. And she was as much part of the joy and the uplift as anybody else was. And in fact, I went out of there feeling better than I had when I'd gone in. And really that tells you about something about somebody. Someone who's able to do that to you, someone who's able to make you feel like that, to lift up the spirit of everybody else, even when they're the one who is really down and really struggling. That is the mark of true greatness. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I've been thinking about, and I was thinking about it in the car on the way here, is the name Miriam. Miriam, a beautiful name. And of course, Miriam is her brother is Moses, sister of Moses and Aaron. And mentioned, of course, many times in the Torah. But there's one standout incident with Miriam in the Torah which I think mirrors the life of our Miriam as well. Someone who she certainly lived up to the billing of the original Miriam. Miriam was Moses' older sister. Moses, we know, was put in a basket in the bulrushes. We've all seen the movie. And the Torah says that Miriam stood on the bank of the river to see what would happen to him. And when the daughter of Pharaoh grabs hold of Moses, grabs hold of this basket, Miriam is first in there and says, "Can I help? Can I do something? Can I help you? Can I bring this boy? Can I help you feed this boy? Can I do something?" Miriam was a person, our Miriam, was also a person who looked for an opportunity to do something. Wasn't someone just would be waving banners, would be marching to the front, but is standing on the riverbank looking for an opportunity to do something good. Looking for an opportunity to help. Certainly I remember a fabulous evening with the National Council of Jewish Women in 60 Over Street. And we had a great evening. All the volunteering, all the goodness, all the support that she gave to Sid in Sid's many years of hard work for the community, that lives up to the Miriam. The original Miriam and our Miriam certainly have the same characteristics. And that is, again, something to be proud of. Be proud of the achievements that she made in her life, the hard work, the kindness, the goodness, the smile, the way that she made you feel. And certainly it's not someone who you forget. And I'd like to add one more thing. The love shown between Sid and Miriam is really an example to all of us. The dedication between both of them. Miriam for Sid, Sid for Miriam, it's really a great example for all of us. And the Almighty should bless you, Sid, with a long life and with happiness and good memories and the ability to remember the smile and remember how you felt and still share that smile with all of us. And for you, Anthony, Nicole, Greg, a long life, and to remember where you came from and remember the characteristics that brought you into the world and that taught you how to be who you are. And to always be someone looking for an opportunity to love, to give, and to help. Always try and be that person who makes other people feel better and love your family. I think that's a great legacy to leave behind. Our soul will be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is our heritage, and may she rest in peace and find mercy. We'll continue the service. On page 2. It's very appropriate to read Eishet Chayil. Eishet Chayil mi'imtza, v'rachai k'pninim b'chra. V'mlas v'toy v'loi rachai yemei chayil. Kava parasali ani v'yodeh ashil chalav yoin. Oiz v'adal v'shal at ischak li'em achrayim.
Pia Bosco Bachok, Babasay, Raskas, Alishana, Sayfia, Lichas, Base of Lakamatsus, Loisay, Come one Abayashua, Vala, Vaya Halala, Rabois Bonois, or Sukhayla, Talis Alkulana, Tunula, Mi Priya Dea, Vialalu, Avashama, Seha, Yishalei Madano Palech, Uski Masku take Shrimami Madino Israel, Asher Bos, Napsois, Grachas Kanafo. A woman of valor who can find. Her work is far beyond themselves. Her husband's heart trusts in her and he has no lack of gain. She brings him good and not harm all the days of her life. She reaches out her palm to the poor and extends her hand to the needy. She is clothed with strength and dignity and will laugh in days to come. Her mouth opens with wisdom and the Torah of kindness is on her tongue. She watches over the ways of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children rise and call her happy. Her husband also praises her, saying, Many women have excelled, but you have surpassed them all. Give her the fruits of her labor and let her deeds bring her praise into the gates. Hashem will pay your works and may your reward be completed by Hashem, God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to trust. Friends, we will now make our way to the graveside. While we are here with amplification and quiet, there will be 2 nights of prayers. First night minion will be at 6:30 this evening at 14 Wren Street in Tainella, and tomorrow night the service will be at PHC at 6 p.m.
Yeah, no.
There was the inappropriate jokes from there, wasn't there? The quality of the outtakes is Sad movies. So it's just not in public. I think that's not the but maybe as well they listen to them.
He's going to Judy Kate. She'll give you a sign. You reckon she will, eh? Got to sit down about all right, their power going off last night. So just taking a bit with her, eh? I'd ordered dinner, and she probably came on to tell me that I shouldn't be eating so much.
Ilam avison et sta, como fado in early in the mamiaco, ponim your cabras, and my simiaco Lawrence.
Grazie.
Now what? No, nothing yet. No, not yet.
like you to come forward?
Oh, good. Again. Yeah. Thanks.
Why don't you go through?
Getting people's way over there.
Knife out, guys. That's right.
Yeah, they're in
I said Paw Patrol.
Yeah, I know. Networking is so incredibly great. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. 3 nights. More room in the first night out. 3 camping. So actually do tests of water tanks and batteries, making sure everything works. Yeah, they go Swan, they go to wine. We took the water lady and she Ember's getting a bit old for it now. 17, starts driving next month.
First time as well. He sent me a picture. It's terrible. Do you know what? On my birthday, in the morning,
Hey Kevin, how you going?
I got the that's all incidental.
Rak bein egos abed, mishul mas shoyim tira, ki atadoni maxilin samtum meinacho. Lo yisune lechorov en agal ikrav bolacha, ki malach avisav alach lishmach, bachol drachachom. Eum rachamim sheichaim, amreim, amatzei, benuchan achayna, kan vayeshkena, malas gadoyishim azorim, gezoya ki amazirim, nishmas Miriam bat Zava. Shalachali elamah, ma'avo, shekolakol azem ispolelim, madaskoras lishmosa, וגם עדן זהים ונוגסו, לא חיים ולרח במייסתירו, וזייסו גנבו בלי העולמים, יצרו ויצרוח, האם איזיש מוסו, עלו נוינח לוסו, וסנוח ושלום ומשכבו, ונאמר, אמן.
Amen. Amen. Say shalom. Say shalom. Amen.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, that completes the service here in the cemetery. As I said, we'll be immediately receiving at 14 Gren Street, Dianella at 6:30, and tomorrow evening at PHC at 6 p.m. If I can ask you please to make 2 lines either side of the pathway so we can formally start the Shiva process, and remind you to wash your hands. The facilities provided before leaving the cemetery. Please God, we should only meet under the king.
Yeah, do you want to take it?